Hello, people. It's your boss man back again with another Manchester United podcast. Finally, the season is returning, as you can see from the title. To be honest with you, no agendas tonight, just pure vibes. I'm excited to have the football back. As you can see, elite panel. Before we introduce you to the panel, make sure, of course, you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Everyone's links are down below to not only their socials, but their YouTube channels. Yes, I've done my research and I found everyone's links. Everyone's links are down below, including Kojo's. I don't know why he's got that massive long thing. Kojo's socials are down below. So show love to them. Make sure you subscribe to everyone's channel, drop a like, all that good stuff. But anyways, as I said, let's get into basically the intro, which is actually made by Hayder's brother. So Hayder, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but yeah, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
United.
Yes, as you can see. Listen, I had to get the Liverpool goal. We got as many Liverpool goals against Liverpool as we possibly can get. Obviously, Trent broken in the first one. You got to start the way you want to go on in it. I mean, we don't like Trent here. It is what it is. But anyways, let's get into it. First and foremost, my co-host, as always, a homie from 3 in midfield, in case you couldn't tell on his details below his face. We got Kojo in the building. Kojo, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm in a good mood. And with, 5 fantastic brothers of mine. So let's do this, man.
Yes, you'd love to see it. About 7 people have asked him how to pronounce his name. However, I'm probably going to butcher it again, so I do apologize. Probably the best comps on the platform. I mean, listen, I'm not even banter. I'm not even just saying it because I've already said it to off camera. Honest to God, world class. We've got Liaz in the studio. AK Hypens Rodriguez. I butchered that one. How are you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. It's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to preview the season with you guys. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. And listen, below me, we've got the homie, the day one, a brother from another mother. After we did that podcast, Osman Talks, mate, we had a different kind of connection. The homie, obviously, I'm a bit biased, but some of the best content, without a shadow of a doubt. If you haven't already, check out the masterclass link down below. Hayder is in the building, not for the first time. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, all good, brother. Good to see you. It's been a while. Great panel today. Obviously, good to see Kojo as well. It's been time. So, yeah, excited to be here and excited to have a chat with people that have different views as well. It's important to do that and be able to sit around and talk about United because we all love United, but we all have a different viewpoint on United. So I'm interested to see what people think today.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. There's definitely going to be a lot of different opinions. Obviously, make sure you get your comments in. I can see a lot of comments. I will get them on screen very shortly. But listen, I got to introduce the 2 homies from, you can find them on the Football Terrace, but of course, they've got their own platforms. They're down below as well. Make sure you show love. First and foremost, he just told me he's gone off the deep end, known for his respectable comments, nobly. We've got Daniel in the building. Daniel, how are you, bro, man?
I'm good. I've got off the deep end, but maybe you guys can bring me back off the edge.
Oh, you've got the right people there. I'm telling you, you got the right people there. Not me though, with these guys, but not me. Maybe not me. I'll probably push you further off the deep end, bro. I'm not gonna lie, but it is what it is. But last but not least, I thought it was first 11, but it's not. First X1. The homie, again, you can find him on Football Terrace. Listen, they did a fantastic show yesterday, by the way. I've got to shout it out. Obviously, I was watching it myself. Oh, if you enjoy when we banter Kish, it was obviously on our Monday show, you'll enjoy it because he was getting up to it, ripped apart. We got the homie, Indiana, in the building. Indiana, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be back on the channel. It's been months. I think I came on maybe 6-7 months ago. We're looking to get back on. So, no, thank you for having me. A great panel. I watch all of your content, so not so much Danny's because I'm normally on stream with him, which is even better because I'm telling you, this guy is just full of knowledge. He has lost the plot though. He has lost the plot. He has lost. We do need to calm down. Don't push him any further because the fan base needs this guy and needs him level-headed. So let's not do that.
Absolutely. I mean, Daniel, you need to relax because, like you said, we need the level-headed fans. There's a few here. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, you guys know who it is, man. You guys know all the people. As I've already said, drop like, subscribe to the channel, show them love down below. Keep getting your comments in. But listen, we're gonna get straight into obviously myself and Kojo, all the hosts of the show. We're gonna start with Elias. I'm gonna keep saying your name. Can I just call you Sancio? Is that all right? Can I call you?
Go call me what you want, bro.
I'm gonna pass it to Kojo every time I'm passing it to you, so he can butcher it instead. But listen, we're gonna start first and foremost. Just your thoughts briefly on the season. How are you feeling going into? Of course, we've signed Jadon Sancho. Yes, it's finally happened. It's only taken 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. And of course, we have signed Varane. Although we haven't seen him in a United shirt. How are you feeling? I mean, you've done 2 unbelievable comps on both of them, to be fair. But how are you feeling going into the season, bro?
Listen, man, I don't think you can really complain with those 2 signings. You're signing one of the most exciting young wingers on the planet. No exaggeration here. Jadon Sancho's numbers for a player of his age are remarkable. And we finally have him after 2-3 years of scouting. And then we're signing a serial winner. And that word gets thrown around a lot, but this guy is literally as prestigious a winner as they come. 14 finals, 14 trophies. It says it all. Rafa Varane and Jadon Sancho. So you can't not be excited by that. It's been a while since United's gone out and done their business early and brought in 2 world-class players that automatically improve you. But I think it's a bit disappointing that we haven't kind of moved on from that and brought in some more players, because I think now you look at Lukaku joining Chelsea today, that's a huge signing. You look at City getting Grealish and potentially Kane. Those are huge signings. So I think we did really well to bring those 2 guys in. But I still think we need a 3rd guy to really push on it and make a really good title challenge. But those 2 signings, man, you can't be unhappy about that. Those are 2 world-class players.
Yeah, no, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, the Varane stat is absolutely alarming. The only player close to him is Phil Jones in our squad, to be fair. But in terms of elite winner, like he's done it all. He's done it all. He might not take a part, but he's there. Aidan, what are your thoughts, bro, on the 2 sides? I know you've done a lot of player profiles. Obviously, make sure you check them out. He's gone into a lot of details on both those videos as well. But in terms of your thoughts regarding the 2 individuals briefly, how are you feeling going into the season with the 2 new additions that we've got?
I'm delighted, mate. You can't look past that. You know, if Manchester City or Chelsea were doing this sort of business, everyone would be getting very excited. Something that does frustrate me with the fan base is it's always glass half empty. You know, it's like, so we've signed Varane, we've signed Sancho. What about a DM? People just enjoy who we've brought in. We do need a midfielder. That's not to say we don't. I think that's the frustrating thing for me, and I've taken a step back from Twitter in that regard. You know, I have, because I just look around and it's just neuroticism. It's overreaction all the time over everything. Like Varane's not going to be signed up for tomorrow. Probably, he might get announced. Varane was never going to play. You know, it's a long season ahead. It's always, the fan base is never happy. I'm absolutely delighted, mate. We've signed Rafael Varane, the most successful centre back along with Ramos in his generation. We've signed one of the best, and we've broken down the statistics many times in masterclass, one of the best right wingers at the age of 2021. He's putting up incredible world-class numbers. He's in the 98th percentile for assists, creativity. Manchester United played without a right-hand side for 5, 6, 7 years. They came second. Add balance to this side, and you'll see what the attack can do. So I'm positive going into the season for the first time in about 7 or 8 years. And we've had discussions with men. You know that when it's come to Oli, I have doubts about Oli, but I'm completely parking that. Why am I doing that? Because what's the point of getting frustrated and upset and fighting with each other week in, week out about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? He's got a new contract. Just back him. And if he doesn't do the business, he'll go. And that's what I just want to say to the fan base. And that's what I say as well. I'll support the team. You can have your doubts about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but there is no doubt in my mind that this club, the day he leaves, will be in the better position than when he walked into the club. We were going down a really dark path. If people actually looked at the finances and what was happening under Jose Mourinho, the lack of money that was coming in from sales, the huge wages that players were on, you know, this club could easily have been in Barcelona's position. I'm not even kidding. It really could have. And so people need to give Oli the credit that he's, you know, with what he's done, but they've also got to just be objective. At the end of the day, I'd rather see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer backed than not, because if he's backed and he does win, Manchester United win trophies and we're successful. And as a fan base, I'm not going to call it sport, because it's not, because we should have high standards. It's almost as if there's people that don't want to see United win just to be proven right. They don't want to see Ollie win, just be proven right. And that's my frustration. So I've got a new sort of mindset going into the season. I want Ollie to do really well. I want them to back him. I love the players that are coming in. I love the culture of the club. Even Paul Pogba, a player that supposedly wants to leave, is happy at Man United, happy under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So let's just back it and see what happens. And if United win the league, amazing. I think they'll come short. I think the midfield's not good enough. But I'm confident going into the season. So yeah, great signings, and I'm positive. I'm chilled. I'm not going to overreact. I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and I think in terms of what you said, in terms of we are very spoiled as fans first and foremost. So let's not let's not get it twisted. In terms of all I've seen is we haven't got DM, we haven't got it. I mean, I agree with the fact that we need a DM, but we've got to also accept that, as Liaz said as well, we've signed Sancho and we've signed Varane, like two top quality players. Let's say if Chelsea signed both of them two players, we'd all be sat complaining, saying, "Oh, look at what a rival signed, and look at what we're signing."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's not get it twisted. The top draw players, it doesn't matter what people are saying about Varane. For me personally, both upper echelon players, and they're definitely going to come and benefit the team. But in terms of where you sit, Daniel, obviously, I know your thoughts on Ollie, and you've said something a bit off. You've gone a bit off the deep end slightly. Yeah, I know you're confident. You're definitely confident. But how are you feeling with the two additions as well? Do you feel like these two additions are enough for us to really be in the conversation in terms of the latter stages of the season?
Well, just to piggyback on what Hayder was saying in regards to the fan base, like Manchester Evening News and The Athletic have been pretty consistent. It's two players, big signings, and then if we sell players, we can bring more in. We were briefed about this for months before the summer. It comes into fruition. We get Varane and Sancho, amazing signings, and you're crying, you're complaining, you're moaning. Chill out. The window's not closed. If somebody comes with money for Lingard or anybody else, I reckon we'll get Trippier. We're not going to get a midfielder. If you look at the market, if you guys want to settle for Neves, cool. I'd rather not settle. If we get Trippier, back to Hayder's point about balance, it's a game changer. Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side, his dribbles, I can show you, are identical to Greenwood's. He drives inwards. He doesn't go down the outside on the right-hand side. He comes in. So Wan-Bissaka's still going to be exposed. So I reckon we'll get Trippier, because in midfield, McFred, despite what people think, is not Ollie's number one choice. His number one choice is Matic and Pogba. When they're fit and healthy and playing well, that's who he goes with. In regards to the signings, I'm more excited about Varane more than Sancho. Sancho will light it up.
Yes.
Sancho in the final third will be our most clinical player. If you look at his advanced statistics, his success rates for all key passes, better than Bruno, better than Pogba. It's insane. He's incredibly efficient in the final third. But Varane, for me, it completes the back four. I look at that back four, and I don't see us getting mugged off by anybody. With Lindelof in there, we know we're just waiting. Game by game, we're waiting for him to get beat in the air. We're just waiting for it to happen. We're waiting for him to lose a physical battle. All these different elements, I think, are put to bed when you put Varane in there. That's complete. The front line ain't complete because we need a striker, but Varane completes that back four. He's an elite defender. All this talk about him being a pace merchant, all this talk about him needing Ramos to be a top player, scandalous.
Ramos plays for France, doesn't he? Obviously for the World Cup.
Bro, I've got bookmarks. I'm coming for people. Like,
yes, Daniel, go on, son.
This is an elite centre back, and you're telling me he needs Ramos. I've heard people go as far as saying he needed Umtiti. Umtiti was the leader when they won. Whatever. It's ridiculous. So I'm confident going into the season because these are two elite signings. I don't think most people, even me, can quantify the impact in regards to points. You can't quantify it, right? It's going to have an impact that people aren't expecting, in my opinion. So, so I'm going to go into. Forgive me for saying this because I know it's going to be another segment, but these signings make us an 80-plus point team. Simple as that. 80-plus points guaranteed. So I'm excited. I've got no negative feelings going into the season, nothing but positivity.
You'd love to see it. No, for me personally, as someone who's massively criticised Ollie, I'm just going to say this as well because I think it's important, as Hayden alluded to as well. This is probably the most excited I've been going into the season without a shadow of a doubt. Post Fergie, I know people will. I suppose maybe the Pogba and Zlatan one, when we signed both of them in the same window, might have potentially topped it. But in terms of where we are, realistically, I feel like we've got a very good chance of actually doing something this season with the addition of myself and Kojo was just on Eyes on the Ball TV to shout out to Darren as well, and he asked us a question regarding the front men. Who do you think is going to have the best season? And when you actually go through it, we've got Rashford, Greenwood, Cavani, Martial, and Sancho at disposal. Like, that is a plethora of talent. Like, he has really got the opportunity to chop and change, as Gojo was saying. And you've also got the option potentially of Pogba left wing as well, who was phenomenal last season left wing, in my personal opinion, anyways. But Indiana, you've heard what a lot of the panel have said. What are your thoughts? I know you're normally very positive in general, but in terms of, I'm going to ask you regarding the DM just briefly as well. Do you think, for the people that are definitely going to be saying we haven't got DM, we aren't good enough, so to speak, do you think that is a big enough factor to hinder our chances basically going into the season?
I do think it hinders our chances. What I would say is that I don't expect to see as much of McFred this season with Varane signing, because I actually think Varane will make up for the £80 million we spent for Harry Maguire. You will see a better Harry Maguire this season. He'll be able to drive forward with the ball more. He sets up plays. He's actually very good at passing out from the back. I want to see more of that from Harry Maguire. I think with Sancho, I've seen a couple of comments. It's not the first time I've seen it. Is people moaning about he's not a right winger, he's a left winger. Let me just explain that it will be a fluid front three.
Absolutely.
They will move. Sancho will move to the centre. He will move out wide. They will swap over. That's what we want to see. In fact, I think that will benefit a player like Anthony Martial. I think Cavani, for me, he's an incredible striker. I'd love him to play every game, but I think we all know he's not going to do that. Sancho will open up a lot more for Manchester United. Forget about thinking about these players as wingers. They're all forwards. It will be very fluid. I think we will see less of McFred in the midfield. Wan-Bissaka's always going to be a worry. He's always going to be a worry for me. He is. I think Danny's right when it comes to getting a Trippier in. It makes a massive difference. But I still think we can make one more signing. But I also agree with Danny that we shouldn't be going out and just buying anyone. I think it has to be our first choice or second choice if there are two for that profile, or nothing. That's what it has to be. I don't think we're in a top four battle. I think Manchester United are gonna surprise a lot of people this season. I really do. I think Ollie's got another season under his belt. Can he win the title? I don't think so. I don't think he's that level of manager, and other teams have strengthened so much, but I don't know why we're in a top four race.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Liverpool for me are more in a top four race than Manchester United, in my opinion. We don't know what Van Dijk's like. We don't know how that team's going to perform without Genie in there. He's underrated. You've got 30 plus FC. I don't know.
30 plus FC. Quality. No, I completely agree. I completely agree with what you said in terms of obviously Daniel said it as well, in terms of let's not just buy someone for the sake of it. I think our fans are so desperate for us to sign someone. I don't want to see another Morgan Schneider situation, basically, where we sign a player that could have potentially been a good player, but it wasn't the right fit for us at the time. Daniel, I feel like you've got something to add there.
Yeah, just it's Neves is the name that everyone. Let's see who we're talking about.
I know. You said that. Hayden is a massive fan of Neves, so by all means, go for it and explain what your thoughts.
I think Neves and Fred. I think it would be a good partnership. Don't get me wrong, right? I'd be an idiot to say anything, not to say that it isn't, but there are better midfielders out there. There are better midfielders out there than Ruben Neves. Ndidi ain't going to be a Leicester City player forever. Chouameni at Monaco will be a better player than Neves. If PSG are selling players, I honestly take Idris. I take him.
Would you take Herrera back?
No, not Herrera. Not Herrera. I take Idris. I don't pronounce his surname.
I just had to ask.
But I take Idris from PSG if they were selling him just for a few seasons, because he is he's dominant at one thing. I think Neves is a good all-round player, but he's not dominant at anything. I want a dominant player in there next to Fred. That's all it is. He's a good player though. If we get him, I'm going to back him. I'm not going to slander him. But I think there are better players out there. That's all it is.
Yeah, I've got to bring Hayden, Coach, before I bring you, because I know Hayden preaches Neves alongside Rob. I know you two in particular are big fans of Neves. Like, Hayden, what are your thoughts? Obviously, it's quite clear that Daniel isn't, doesn't want Neves. How do you feel about that?
No, he's spot on. There's better players out there, absolutely. But this is what people need to understand: there's this fixation on a DM, this absolute fixation. There's a large chunk of the fan base want to destroy her. I mean, this is what I don't understand. That Manchester United don't need a destroyer. Manchester United need players in midfield who can do a bit of everything. They don't need someone who's going to sit there and pass. Ndidi's 80 million. Go and have a look at his progressive stats. He doesn't progressive. Seriously, go and have a look. He's in the 10th percentile for midfielders. People need to think. They think we go 4-3-3. Right? Okay, Paul Pogba's going to play next. No, he's not. Paul Pogba, when he plays for France, has 2 midfielders behind him. So this is what I'm trying to understand, that people look at football and they think that it's right. I'm going to bring in a player A, bring in player B, the system's suddenly fixed. That's not how it's going to be. I think another thing that people think as well is that 4-2-3-1 is defensive. It's not defensive. We don't play with 2 DMs. We play with 2 players, Fred and McTominay, who are functional, but they're not progressive. It looks like that we're more defensive because of the fact that they're not progressive passers. They're not good at breaking the lines of passes. So this is a point. United can go and bring Ruben Neves in and put him next to a Fred, and United will look a better side. Why? Because you've got someone who can play progressive passes and break the lines. And Fred's still there doing what Fred does well. Go on and have a look at Fred's stats. I'm not a big Fred advocate. Go and look at his stats. Go and look at his defensive stats on FBref. He's sitting in the 90th percentile for tackles, blocks, for like ground covered. He's got a place in the squad. The problem is that people think that you bring in one player that's going to do the job of 2 players. When I look at Ruben Neves, what do I see? I see a player that's good on the ball. He's defensively, he's good. He's good at intercepting. He's good at tackling. He's good at blocking. He isn't a destroyer. He isn't a flashy name, but it's not always a flashy name that comes in and does the job. What I want to see from Manchester United, I want to see midfield that can do a little bit of everything. Someone like Saul, he's not a destroyer. He's not someone that's, I'd say, the typical defensive midfielder. But you play him next to, I don't know, a Fred, for example. Fred looks a better player. So what I just want to see from Manchester United is bring in players that will fit the system and bring in players that will do a function. This is what's frustrating.
I'm going to throw this on Hayden because it's cracking me up. Hayden said Ndidi because everyone I actually wanted Ndidi from day one. I'm not going to lie.
I just don't subscribe to this idea. If you're going to go and spend 80 million, I'm saying what he does extremely well. There's very few players better than what Ndidi does. But this idea that you bring in someone who's going to break up play and give the ball 5 yards, like that's just FIFA. It doesn't happen. Liège knows this.
Ndidi doesn't hinder the way Leicester want to play, so I think you're overstating the way that he passes.
Manchester United and Leicester don't play the same way.
No, but he's not a hindrance to wants to play progressive football. He's not a hindrance, in my opinion. He's basic. He's not going to contribute.
Yeah,
he's not
of course.
Contribute. But in regards to stats, so Neves is efficient defensively, right? The way Michael Carrick was, positional intelligence, reading the game, right? That's how he defends. He can win. He's decent physically as well. He's not weak. Like he can win physical battles as well.
Of course.
But in regards to stats,
you're playing for Wolves.
I want every Man United fan to be aware of this. His passing stats are worse than Fred's in terms of efficiency. They're worse. Our eyes tell us he's a better technical passer, meaning his long pass will get there quicker and it will arrive at the player's knee height so he can actually side foot and control it, as opposed to Fred's where it's going to arrive at your waist and you're doing all types of knee controls.
So it's a good point. You're right. Let's add context.
Yeah, so I want an efficient player or somebody who's dominant. That's what I'm saying. Give me efficiency or give me dominance. I don't.
Yeah, it's a good point. But let's actually add a bit of context there, because you can say that about someone like Declan Rice. You can say, Declan Rice, looking at his statistics, he's worse than McTominay.
No,
you've got to also take into account. You've got to take into account.
Sorry, Declan Rice's passing statistics are better than Fred's, McTominay's, and Neves's. But
let's take into account as well the way that West Ham play, the way that Wolves play, the way that Manchester United play. If you're going to bring Neves into a side where there's more, where he's going to have more of the ball, where he's going to have more of an influence, you're going to see his statistics look better. Well, my point is this, right? Whether it's Neves, whether it's not, that's not the point. I think that it's a fixation on this idea of a DM comes in and just fixes everything. Paul Pogba plays deep, Bruno plays in midfield. It's just not going to happen, and this is the point.
I agree with that part. I agree with that as well.
I would love to see Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the same midfield. And and it's another thing with Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek showed nothing last year playing deep. He's showed this in pre-season. Now, is he an option to play in midfield? I quite like the look of him and Matic together. Defensively, he still leaves spaces.
Them two together, like double
there's still a lack of personal awareness. He's bulked up.
Question to anybody really. So does that, if Van der Beek thrives this seison, you think people are going to say we don't need a DM now? If it's Matic,
no.
Let's get Kojan. I'm gonna keep butchering your name. Yes. Right. Kojan, we'll come to you first, and then we get Liaz in next. Because obviously, I know you haven't spoken yet. Kojan, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you've heard them give their thoughts. Where do you sit on the whole sort of DM not coming in and fixing, and also sort of Mohammed put a good point as well, actually. I can't find the comment. I think it's I think we need a CDM, but to think that we get a CDM, it means we automatically play from 4-3-3, so to speak. Where do you sit on the whole sort of conversation? Cody, you muted, I think.
Muted.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, that's the thing I tend to think about, because looking at the rumored names that we've been linked with, they're not solely defensive midfielders. These are guys that play in way many more positions. Sao is not a defensive midfielder. He doesn't sit. He's a central midfielder, but we've seen him play in many positions. And Didi, even with Leicester, he plays with Tielemans. So it's more of a two than a sole player. Not many teams where you think you can get players that are available play the sole DM. And, this is where United fans need to sort of just recognize that no matter the target, because I remember I did a stream with Danny not too long ago, and Danny said that if you sign a right back, it actually eliminates the need of a DM. It actually helps the team better, the balance is better. And I can see the point of that. A DM doesn't fix everything. And that's what I think this is what these guys are saying, because they're talking about two different players and they want two different options, but there's no guarantee that both of them will work. There's no guarantee that one of them will work. What the guarantee is for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, for me, is that he needs to sign someone that can play in a two and that can play in a one. You need tactical flexibility. You need a player that's not just stuck good at one thing and, one formation. And because we all talk about system players and all that.
That's the key.
I don't care about system players. System players to me are players that you think, oh yeah, they sit here and then they do this and then they work. I don't care about all of that. I need a player that can go into the team, that can play with A, that can play with B, that can play with C. That gives you an option that if you are playing 4-2-3-1, it's not working, you can put him into maybe a CM position next to someone else and put, I don't know, Matic there, or put him there and then bring Fred or McTominay on or whatever. You need someone that can actually help the team in a myriad of ways so that the game can change in many different ways. What we lacked last year were players that can help us change the game in many ways. We lacked that off the bench specifically as well.
Yeah.
If we can add someone into the starting 11 that gives us that extra, then we're talking about a better problem. If it is a right back that fixes that, I'm good with that. People are saying keep Dalot because Dalot's better going forward than Wan-Bissaka. Defensively, he's obviously not better. But if it helps the team going forward in terms of attacking wise, use him, utilize him. If Ole has found a way to implement a system that works with Diogo Dalot, by all means, do your thing. If he's found a target in the market that says, you know what, I can play this guy in the 2, I can play him in the 4-3-3 as the one lone DM, do your thing. But this is why when I'm asked that question, I genuinely don't have a name. Back in the days, I would have had many names. Right now, I don't have a name because I don't know what Ole wants to play. We've heard 4-3-3. I haven't heard the guy actually say he wants to play 4-3-3. So I don't know what he wants to play. So until he brings his target and I can analyze what he does with the guy, I don't know. But Neves and Didi, the guy from Monaco, I don't know butcher his name.
Great. He's a player. If United are going to target someone, it should really be him.
He's
absolutely. If you do want to play 4-3-3 and you want someone in a single pivot, he is the man. He can do everything. But I'm not the scout.
Yo, this comment, everyone's proper positive in the chat.
I look at it.
Does he think we're going to get relegated as well, Usman? Because there's a few people saying that.
I mean, to be ITN is normally very positive, so I'm somewhat they're messing up. And I've not seen that comments. I'll probably go over. But Liaz, let's get your thoughts on. We've seen a lot of names here. I'm just going to throw a couple from the chart. A lot of people saying Basuma as a potential. Camavinga, I mean, I don't feel like Camavinga fits at all, although we'll definitely take him because he's top draw. Where do you sit on the whole sort of conversation? Do you feel like it's a necessity, or do you agree somewhat with Kojo? We don't want a system play. We need someone who's going to obviously be versatile to play with the current crop of players.
I think there were a lot of good points throughout that discussion. I think the biggest thing for United, and they've done a good job since Ollie's come in, is not buying players in the moment just because you need that position and just finding someone that doesn't fit into the team. We've done that so many times under different managers, and it's back like Schneiderlin, for example, buying Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger in the same summer while still wanting to play Carrick. It just didn't make sense. Like, we've done it so many times, and to give Ollie credit, we've moved away from that. We are now signing players that we have a clear idea of where we want to play. Maybe except for Van de Beek, I think that's still something we're trying to figure out with a player of his ability. It's so frustrating with DM, man, because especially when we've seen this preseason, we have a guy who is absolutely brilliant, but you can't trust his fitness. You can't trust his consistency. You can't trust his availability. And that's Nemanja Matic, man. When he plays and he's at his very best, I don't even want to go too much into it because we all know the story, right? Like when he plays and he's on his best, you can't get a better DM in that position, in my opinion. But you just can't trust them. You can't trust them for a 38-game season, in my opinion. However, with that being said, I do think that it's better to get a guy that you know, like you guys are all saying, can play in different systems, can play next to the players you already have, can play. He's a player that you don't have to just change everything to get the best out of. Whether that's Tchouameni next year, whether that's I really liked Locatelli throughout the Euros. I know that's not going to happen. It looks like he's off to Juventus. That, for me, is a player that could really benefit United. I wouldn't just splash the cash at Neves. I wouldn't splash it at Bissouma. I definitely wouldn't throw it at Ndidi. I think United has to be smart in this position in particular because this is the spine of your team. This is really what you want to build around. Get the right guy. Make sure it's the right profile. And for me, I know we were talking about Dalot at the end. I can't get fooled by this guy, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan whatsoever. I think Trippier right there, if you can get him near the end of the window, because I think you will really have to test Atletico Madrid's resolve. They don't need to sell their starting right back. You will need to be patient there. I think if you can get him in, that's a good window, those three. And then next summer, we're probably going to be in the market for a striker. I think Haaland is the guy everyone wants. Then you kind of look at a midfield there too. And then I think you're really starting to build a team. Because I ask you guys this. Is this current iteration of Man United with a DM or without a DM? Do you think that's the difference between winning the league? If they go and sign your dream DM this summer, are they going to win the Premier League? I personally don't think so. So I would rather wait a year or even 2 years to find the right guy that elevates you to this team, as well as the rest of the team continuing to progress, than just throwing money at a guy that you think is a short-term success. I'd rather just do that.
Gotcha. In fact, I want to call you than Indiana because Indiana's.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with that because, like, I remember last year, obviously, Osman and me, you were on shows quite a lot, and I was saying a lot that, you know, if your plan A doesn't work, you get a plan B. But then I have to think back on myself and think, like, for example, when Liverpool wanted Van Dijk, they didn't go after anyone. Van Dijk fit the profile to a T. And if that plan doesn't work and you can't find someone that fits it, there's no one else for you. And I even had to understand that. So when we didn't get Sancho, I was thinking of names and people I like, not people that I thought would fit in. Just people I like, Leon Bailey, this guy, that guy. But Sancho fits the bill that Ole wanted. So I have to realize and accept that until he gets Sancho, no one else fits that bill. And lovely signing of Varane as well. Varane's available. We're first in line. We got the guy, and you know it's a wonderful signing. So yeah, I agree with that. As long as he fits the profile, one or two of them, if you're going to get them, what's the point?
Yeah, no, in terms of what you guys are saying, in terms of the profile, I think that's the key for me. That's been our biggest mistake since post-Fergie, really. We've just been signing players for the sake of it. I mean, we could list so many players that we've signed just for the sake of it. Haven't really fit the profile. That's one thing I definitely got to give Oli credit. He signed players that he feels that fit whatever system or whatever idea he has. And I think Sancho definitely is one of those guys, as was Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, and so forth. So, Indiana, my question to you is, in terms of the system or how we approach the season, what do you want to see from Oli going forward? Is there any changes you want to see from Oli? I mean, we've seen people talk about the 4-3-3. Obviously, I mean, I've not seen it, so I can't really comment on it. But in terms of, is there anything that you want to see from Oli moving forward in terms of changes?
So I don't think we're going to see a 4-3-3, especially if we're not going to look for a specialist DM. And what I mean by that is a player who can actually play that role, who is a specialist in there. A lot of the names that have been mentioned are not specialist DMs. They are not. So Camavinga is not a specialist DM. Saul was not a specialist DM. He's the Spanish James Milner with shooting ability. Like he's a utility player pretty much, right? He can play a number of roles, but he's not a specialist DM. He's not. So without a specialist DM, I don't see a 4-3-3. I think it'll still be 4-2-3-1. I think in terms of what I want to see from Oli, I want to see him taking chances a bit more. I want to see him gambling a bit more. I want to see him able to change it up when needed to. I want to see things like, instead of throwing all your eggs into one basket, allowing yourself to make changes if you've got injuries or players you can only have a couple of minutes. I don't want to see him just play safe in the games against Man City where he feels like he has to play McFred for the whole game. Like, if the game's dead, take a chance. Go for it. It's Manchester United. Do that. Change it up. It's not as if we haven't got enough midfielders to do that. Granted, none of them are really good enough for what we're looking for in terms of dominating a midfield with ball possession. That's not going to happen. But we are not far off. I think we can definitely be second or third. But that midfielder, the midfield is key. I disagree with what Hayden said earlier about the midfield, because for me, I think it's true. What the saying's true. Games are won or lost in the midfield. Yeah. Titles are won or lost in the midfield. We've just seen Chelsea. We've just seen Chelsea win the Champions League and the Super Cup without a striker because they had a great midfield, pretty much. We just seen Man City win the Premier League without a striker because they got great midfielders. Like, it is key. It is a big thing, and that's where I give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer praise, because I think he has actually managed to navigate that very well by putting McFred in the midfield, knowing that we don't have the quality of midfielders. At least a decent midfielder which allows Paul Pogba to fly. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's big holes in there, so I don't think we can win the title. That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you know what just occurred to me? It just occurred to me, just literally as you were speaking in the end, the things you were saying, you got my mind ticking. Have you noticed not having a midfielder doesn't hinder the way we attack down the left-hand side?
Yeah.
It's not a hindrance at all. Somehow from the left, because Shaw progresses the ball, because Maguire is a better making progressive runs than he is a progressive passer, and we've got, Martial, Pogba, sometimes Rashford, blah, blah, blah. We're affected down the left. So the reason why I prefer a right back to a midfielder is I can see the same thing. With Varane and Trippier coming in down the right-hand side, I see both flanks being just as effective, especially if Sancho's out there, and I think Greenwood's underrated out there as well. So a midfielder doesn't make us more balanced and doesn't make us better down the right-hand side to me. That right-hand side can be completed this season. So I that's why I just prefer just getting a right back like Trippier rather than Neves in midfield, to be honest with you. I think Trippier as a right back moves the needle for us more than Neves in midfield.
I agree completely.
I mean, I'll let you, Liaz, I'll let you come in because I've got a feeling Hayden probably doesn't agree. I might be wrong here. But Liaz, obviously, do you want to elaborate on what Danny just said there, so to speak?
No, I agree completely. I think it just kind of goes off my point that, like, there's not really a DM out there that moves the needle for us this summer window. And I think Wan-Bissaka has his fans, he has his haters. I think both sides, honestly, if you go off Twitter, are a bit extreme, as most things are on that app anyways. But I think Trippier really can give Wan-Bissaka some time off, because Wan-Bissaka played some of the most games in Europe's top 5 leagues last year. Like, he was starting every single game. Everyone else got a rest on United except for him. Even Maguire got injured at the end. So he definitely needs the time off. And I think there's also matchups that we saw last year. I think the Europa League final was the biggest example of it. Villarreal literally let him have the ball and told him to break us down. And it's just not his strength. We all know that. So that's not to say Wan-Bissaka is a failure of a signing. He's a flop. We need to offload him. Trippier is going to come in and be the starting right back. But the best teams ever, and the best United teams as well, have had depth in every single position. And I think Wan-Bissaka getting time off for a guy like Trippier, who has European experience, he's played in the biggest games. He's not the greatest defender, but he's a really good going forward. He has some of the best deliveries, dead ball, crossing. I think he's a great signing for United. And I think I agree completely. I think he moves the needle more for us than any midfielder we can realistically sign this summer.
Yeah, no, I hear what you guys are saying. I think in terms of Wan-Bissaka, my kind of excuse that I've given him is that he's not really had partnerships. Like, at the moment, he's got Victor Lindelof in front of him and a Mason Greenwood in front of him, who's not really a right winger, really. I know Sancho predominantly prefers to play on the left wing, but of course, as we know, Sancho can play right winger, has done it very effectively. Now I feel like Wan-Bissaka, this is the season for him to actually prove himself as an attacking right back, because he's got Varane next to him. Of course, as we've all alluded to, top player, an absolute winner in every nature. Instead of Victor Lindelof covering him, he's got Varane, and in front of him, he's got Jadon Sancho. So I feel like in both positions next to him, I think he's going to benefit the most out of anyone on the pitch, because in both positions, he's getting cover, which is a massive upgrade what he's had previously. So for me, although I hear the Trippier thing, I do want us to get Trippier, actually. I agree with that personally, but I still feel the midfield balance for me is, I just don't want to see Fred and McTominay playing week in, week out next to Pogba. And I feel like Gordon probably, and we've just spoken about it as well. It almost, I mean, can you imagine Fred's, I don't know, I don't want to see Fred for 38 games, but hey, I'll pass it to you, man. In terms of the midfield, do you think the midfield balance is more important, or do you agree with what the lads have said here in terms of the right back giving us more balance, so to speak?
You know, I mean, I don't think I've said, sort of today with the midfield is not important. It's very, very important. What I'm saying is that the idea of saying, bringing a DM suddenly fixes everything. It doesn't. I actually agree with the point, that a right back would make a lot of difference. One of the biggest things last season, we saw it time and time again. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's, concentration and what supports inside of him was poor at his back post numerous times, but also they saw that link with Lindelof was broken, like it wasn't working. You saw on the left-hand side, I mean, sure, Maguire, is there a better relationship between a left back and a left centre back? And that's why Ollie didn't go for a left-footed centre back, because it wasn't broken. Don't move Maguire. When I'm looking at that now, if United can fix, if Varane can come in and fix, sort of what's been going on that right-hand side, which Lindelof hasn't been able to do, I think it's going to give Wan-Bissaka that license to go forward a little bit more. My thing with Wan-Bissaka is that if you actually look at him in terms of his stats, assists, same as Luke Shaw, that's going to surprise people. I believe we got about 4 or 5. The biggest issue with Wan-Bissaka is in the build-up. That's the reality of it.
Yeah,
you look at Luke Shaw's, he absolutely flying on the left-hand side. A fantastic progressive ball carrier. Everything happens, when it comes through him. And then Maguire's obviously, as the lads have said, fantastic at carrying the ball and stepping to midfield, taking the ball forward. And, there were times last season where, I think it was a West Brom game, where Maguire was the most progressive and most, influential attacking player that Man United had in that game, because no one else was doing anything. My thing about the midfield is that it's not going to win you a title. I'm saying this right now. United won't win the title with that midfield. I think they will challenge. I think they'll go deep into the season. They won't win it. But it's also, you've got to think about what the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sets up his team. Everyone's talking about the fact that Klopp might do this, Pep might do that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't that type of manager. He's not as good as them, but he's always been about, right, keep it solid first. So what does he want from the midfielders? He wants functionality first. That's what Fred and McTominay gave him. They gave him that solidity. They're not great on the ball. We know that, but he gave him the foundation. And United went and came second next season. So when I look at that midfield, I think the solution is 2 players. I like Paul Pogba off the left personally. I like him further forward. He's very good, I think, when he's in and around the box. He's very influential in front of goal. That's where I'd like to see him. Obviously, if Rashford's out, we might see Sancho on the left for the season to start. What I want to see from that midfield is I just want to see 2 players come in, one that can do a bit more of the defensive stuff and play a little bit, and one that will provide the energy and the functionality, but also be able to look forward and get the ball forward to Bruno Fernandes. And that's something, actually, if you watch the game against Everton, how many times did Donny van de Beek do that? We didn't see that last season. Played first time through the lines to Bruno. Bruno would turn, you get on the half turn, and then he'd look forward and he'd have options. So that's what I want to see. I honestly, I think I'm not a big fan of Dalot, if I'm honest with you. I used to think he was a good player.
A big fan of Dalot on this panel?
He just can't defend in a flat back 4. That's the reality of it. And you're going from, how can you rely on a player like that? You just can't, mate. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he does going forward. If you can't defend, then there's no point having a player like that in your squad. But I really like Trippier. He's not the sexy, fancy Spanish name, but he's a really good player. And the boys are spot on when they said, when did Jadon Sancho play his best football with Hakimi as his right back? Exactly. That is the biggest point that everyone is forgetting.
Outrageous combination.
Yeah,
his second best season too came when he was playing on the left with Guerrero behind him. Yeah, so for me, people talking about Wan-Bissaka will improve because he'll have Sancho now. Sancho isn't an explosive winger. Like, he needs a fullback to combine with as well. Yeah. So for me, Trippier and Sancho just let you keep going. I think that's a great partnership.
Yeah, 100%. That's a fantastic point. And I think the idea that suddenly Sancho coming in is going to make Wan-Bissaka a better attacking fullback is for me nonsense as well. And when I'm looking at it right now, and I'm looking at that midfield, I think United are going to bring in one more player, if I'm honest with you, right on deadline day. And I think it will be Neves. I really do. I also don't think Paul Pogba. I don't think Paul Pogba is going to go. So you've got the other situation. What's going to happen with Paul Pogba? The boys are right. When Ole wants to play his best midfield for United, it's Matic and Pogba. But when they did play together, everyone remember after lockdown we had Project Restart. We didn't play 4-3-3. Pogba played so disciplined.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Pogba literally, you might say it stunted what he does going forward. He was so disciplined. Yeah. And then the front four did what they had to do. So that's how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to play, in my opinion. You're seeing a lot of 4-3-3. I know he said 4-3-3, but I just don't see us having the squad to play that. But you have to have a look at it this way. One of the big things about Varane, so I watched quite a few of Varane's game before we did the masterclass on him. I watched about 20 of his games last season, over the last 2 seasons. He hasn't been good the last couple of years. There's lots of reasons for that. One of the reasons is that Real Madrid, they were looking to press a lot last season. And what was happening was the midfield were getting bypassed. And you had Varane and Ramos, basically, and Militao defending, with numbers against them. One of the biggest things about Varane is he's a great reader of the game. If you look at statistics, he doesn't go in and he doesn't do a Ramos, doesn't do a Maguire. He's not an aggressive. He's a passive defender, but he's a very smart defender. One of the biggest things that we saw from Fred and McTominay last season is they used to dive into tackles. Remember, they'd vacate the space. Yeah. Varane is incredibly good at reading that and being like, right, I've got to step in. So that's what I think will be a big positive for Manchester United next season. That even if they're playing McFred, we know McFred aren't good enough to win you a title. But the fact is, you've got an elite defender who understands when to step into defense and when not to. I think that's a massive thing for United, and that's why I agree with the boys when they're saying, if we get a right back. So it's a fantastic point. It's a great point, and it's something that I have thought about for a while as well. That getting balance on either side and having essentially the two midfielders are gonna, exactly allow it. But the fullbacks push forward.
That's kind of what Liverpool have done, isn't it? But their success with Robertson and Trent, like they've had a lot of their midfielders basically in the engine room to an extent.
Osman, how many times have I said to you, the modern game, the fullbacks can't just defend now. They have to go forward.
Yeah, they have to.
And I don't know who mentioned it. Was it you, Liez? I know it might have been Indiana was saying that, we don't have wingers. They're forwards. They're wide forwards. They operate in the channel. And that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to do. So, look, there's a lot of positives. Are we as good as City? No. Chelsea have got Lukaku. They're going to be really good next season. But Man United should be in the latter stages of a title race come May.
Yeah,
with or without a DM.
Yeah, no, I think obviously, as always, on point with what you're saying. But I think the Varane signing for me actually is, regardless of who we sign from now to the end of it, is going to be the best signing. Just because one of my biggest sort of gripes with United is we don't sustain attacks. And I think Varane gets us 10 yards further up the pitch. I know Maguire lacks pace. Obviously, the ball in behind can still hurt him. But just the confidence that having Varane next to him will allow him to get further up. You've seen in the latter stages of last season when we're chasing again, Maguire's practically been in the opposition half as the starting position because we're squeezing teams in. And I'm hoping to see a lot more. That sustaining attacks is definitely going to be a positive for us moving forward with the Varane signing. But, Koja, I'm kind of going to swiftly move on to a different topic. So obviously, there's quite a lot to cover, and I know some of you need to bounce as well. I just want to talk about season expectations and most importantly, trophies for me personally. I'm sure everyone agrees that the trophies, of course, is very important. In particular for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the football club, not just the manager, the football club as well. We haven't won a trophy. I think this is going to be our 5th season, I believe. I mean, our rival fans keep reminding us, so I'm sure it's probably ingrained in our head. How important is it? Obviously, Hayden just said you don't think we're going to challenge in the league, potentially go further in the tournaments. How important, Koja, to you is it that we actually win something this season, just to actually show progress, so to speak?
Well, the first thing I was going to say is, even if you win a trophy next year, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win another trophy next year. It doesn't mean you won the trophy this year. I think for Ole, what is important is he got over sort of the hoodoo of not getting through to a final. He had a semi-final run. He got to a final and kind of it's both blame on both sides, not just him. The players didn't play well as well on the day, but the key thing for him is to learn from the mistakes that he made and also to realize that some of the players are just not reliable enough in final situations. It's important that he wins a trophy this year for me. Osman, I've told you from the first day I met you, I always give managers of the top clubs anyway a 3-year run where they build their team, and then once they have their team, they have to then compete. Even if he doesn't win anything, but he sort of like gets to close to the title, maybe Champions League, good run in Champions League. I don't expect him to win Champions League, but a good run. I want to see progressive things going forward. Trophies don't mean, an FA Cup doesn't mean you're going to be better next year. A League Cup doesn't mean you're going to be better next year. A Premier League and Champions League, unfortunately, are the top two, they show that you are the best in the
I mean,
country.
Champions League with the PSG's front three is almost illegal, isn't it? Really?
No, yeah, look, their team.
Watch them not win it. When
I
do
know,
teams ever win it
they-
with
it's
11
the
World
same
Class
thing
players?
with, it's the same thing we said about
Galacticos,
France, right?
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But look, a trophy is important for him, but it's important for the players as well, because we haven't got many players in the squad that have won much. And the first taste of a trophy and the first taste of a medal, once you want it more, it boosts your ambition, it boosts your expectations of what you can bring for yourself, and also other players that you want to bring in. If you can show that we're winning stuff, that can also entice players to saying, okay, you know what, United are winning things and they want me to be part of that project. Let me join that as well. So it is very important. But my expectations personally from United this year, I want a domestic trophy. Preferably FA Cup, because I don't think we're going to win the league. But if I choose FA Cup and League Cup, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If we could win both, it would be great. But I just want the players to have that feel of winning something, because once you have that medal around your neck, it feels special. And for the players that haven't had that feeling yet, Paul's had it in Italy. He's won the World Cup. De Gea's won the Premier League United already. Phil Jones has won everything apart from the Champions League. Just thought I put that out to everybody.
I mean, he's getting massively under-respected. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, he wins Champions League this year and he's completed football. You know, so I mean,
Varane has to fight for that number 4 shirt. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, Varane's won stuff as well. So, and obviously Rashford is younger with the Europa League and the League Cup double that year. So we just need more players getting more accolades, and then they'll be more happier.
Jeremiah's not.
Jeremiah's always shouting at me. He's always
Jeremiah's said it about 10 times. Jeremiah, I've seen it. Don't worry, bro. I've seen it.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah, Liaz, just to come to you, bro. I suppose I'm going to ask yourself, Daniel, and Indiana the same question here. What do you deem a successful season for Manchester United? Because let's be real. The Champions League is always difficult. I mean, every manager's. I mean, Pep's struggling at the moment. Alex Ferguson only won it twice. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Oli has to win the Champions League to keep his job. I mean, I think that's a bit ridiculous, personally, but that's just me. What would you deem a successful season, not just for him, but for the club, so to speak?
First thing I would say.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, was it me? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Liaz, you go first, then Daniel will come to you after.
Okay. I was gonna say no. I agree with the Champions League point. I think it's just such, you can't. There's no team that's expected. I mean, PSG, I'm sure have that tag on them now, but we've seen how many times now, how many editions of the Champions League, the best team doesn't always win it. It happens every year, almost every year. So for me, no, of course, United's not expected to win the Champions League. I do expect us to get out of the group. I think that needs to happen this year. I'd like to see a deep run in that competition, because I think when you look at the strength of the Champions League this year in particular, the best teams are in England and it's PSG. I think if United draws a Real, a Barca, even a Bayern Munich, I think they can hold their own against these teams 100%. I think this United team is actually built to go far in these European knockout competitions, which is why I was so surprised last year we didn't manage to get out of the groups. Well, we know what happened there, but so I would say they need a deep run in Europe. And of course, I'm not expecting them to win it. That's not an immediate need. The Premier League, I don't think we're going to win it. I think I've already said that. I do hope, though, that we can mount more of a serious title challenge than we did last year, because although we were second, there was only a small period of time where I really thought we had a chance. And that's not completely on us too, right? If City goes and racks up 99 points, we're not going to win the league. We might not even come 10 points within that. But I think it's more about points tallies. I think this team, Daniel, you said it right, 85 points is what this team is capable of. If we can get more than that, great. But 85 points is a good benchmark, 80, 85. And then the Cups, I'd like to see us be... I think last year Leicester was really disappointing in the FA Cup. I think we should have done a lot better, especially when we found out at halftime that we were playing Southampton. It was really disappointing to get knocked out of that. So I'd love to see a trophy at United. It's been 5 years now. I don't think it's the end of the world if we manage to put up a really good title challenge. But I do want to, at the end of the season, I think it's important that all of us are feeling better than we were at this point last year, or at the end of last season, where we still feel that the club's going in the right direction. We did really well in all the competitions, because last year we got knocked out early in the Champions League. I think it canceled that out. So yeah, it's tough to put a real staple on what's a success, because it really depends on what happens throughout the season. But I think one trophy would be a good season. Going far in the Premier League, going far in the Champions League, that's another good season. So that's really what I like to see. It's not the best answer, but
I know, you've made yourself very clear. I mean, I see what you're saying, but for
Yeah.
me personally, right, I'm just gonna throw it out. I'm gonna pass it to you, Daniel. And I've seen a lot of comments. I'm just gonna put IT in because he's the only person seeing the ball opposite everyone else. The funny this chat, no league, no Champions League, another dead season, top four. Is for
this
us
guy's
now.
harsh.
I mean, to be honest, the mad thing is he's very positive normally. I just want to give that disclaimer. He's normally
It's not
very
that black and
positive.
white, Usman. We're up against an oil-backed state of Man City with the best manager, one of the best managers in world football. We've got Thomas Tuchel again, who's got a very, very good squad. Who's got just added a striker. Who's probably going to finish top scorer. You've got a Liverpool side who will be better next season. Like
I'll tell
United
you
have
this
been awful
too.
for about 7 years.
Yeah,
Like it's not that black and white if United finish second.
I mean, my question was going to be obviously on the back of what you're saying as well. Here, it's not that black and white. I definitely hear that point. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that like I said, I don't think that we should win the Champions League. But my thing is right, and I'll pass it to you, Daniel. Is there a part of you that feels that if we had? I mean, I'm just gonna say how I feel. If we had an elite manager, I don't think Ollie's elite. Obviously, each their own opinion. If we had an elite manager, we should, with this squad, really be in the conversation. Because I personally think the squad is good enough to be challenging. I know we need a couple of positions here and there. Don't get me wrong, but I still think it's good enough to be in the conversation. And I feel like we're not in the conversation at all. As we said prior to coming on the air, we've got Liverpool fans and rival fans saying we're in the top four race, as Indiana said, which for me is just absolute madness. I don't know how we're in that conversation. But yeah, Daniel, do you not feel like we're almost underestimating how good this squad is to an extent?
No, because you can't mix how people overestimated the squad from 2019 season to last season to what we have now. I've seen people do that. I don't like your question because I don't live in an alternate reality. You can't take what Ollie's done and then sprinkle an elite manager and say he'll win. But I just don't like that type of thinking. I've got to be honest. I don't think another manager. I think an elite manager would have basically fell apart last season because of the summer that Ollie had. In my opinion, I keep telling people this. A big aspect of the next manager has to be, or characteristic, he has to have a good temperament. Because when the Glazers let you down, you have to keep your shit together. You can't do what Jose did. You can't do what LVG did. You have to keep it together. But in terms of the season, look, context matters, right? We can say we need to win this, we need to win that, but context matters. If we get to a final and in the last minute we lose because somebody has an individual error, you're going to blame that on Ollie or you're going to blame that on the player, right? Depends on who you are, how you react to that. In terms of this group, for me, the players need something tangible, so they have to win a trophy. Otherwise, they'll lose faith in Ollie. I don't think they'll turn on Ollie. He won't mismanage them. He won't lose them in that way, fall apart in that way. But 3 years together, you need something tangible. You need to say, we've got something to show for the 3 years of work that we put in. And I fear that if the players don't win a trophy this season, going into the fourth season under Ollie, if he keeps his job, because I think he'll keep his job if he gets top four, to be honest with you. I think the players will lose faith in him. You can't go 3 years without winning if you're Ollie going to show shot. If it's Alex Ferguson, you can. But if you're Ollie going to show shot, I don't think you can get away with 3 years without winning and keep that group together, in my opinion. To piggyback of what Leah said before he left, Manchester City, for me, like Pep Guardiola, for me, is a bit like Mike D'Antoni, a basketball coach. He has this style of football that's so great going forward, he boosts everybody's numbers, right? It's insane.
Yeah.
But for me, all he's done is double down on creativity. That's all he's done. So you're still relying on Gundogan scoring 10 goals out of nowhere in a crazy 5-6 game run. If you swap Sterling for Grealish, the impact of that is what? More creativity, less goals? I don't know. For me, it's not a 99-point season. City were a 99-point team because they had Aguero, David Silva and company, and Pep. That's why they were a 99-point team. Liverpool needs so many things to come together. Firmino has to start scoring again. Salah, he's good money. Mane has to have a good season. How do you adapt without Gigi? Van Dijk has to come back the same. Gomez has to come back the same. Robertson has to have a fifth season in a row where he's unbelievable. I don't know if that happens. That's a lot to come together.
So many variables for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So many variables. So for people to say that we're going to be behind, I think we'll finish above Liverpool because they've got too many things to come together. I think what we need to come together is more likely to happen than what they need to come together, in my opinion. They've had to put money.
Yeah, but Daddy, can I just ask you a question?
Go on, bro.
Yeah, so like earlier you said this team, right, is good enough to get 80 to 85 points, right? Is that what you said? And they were your
I could go a
right?
step further, but go on.
I know you can. Yeah, but for me personally, if you're that confident at the start of the season, to say our team is good enough to get 8 to 85 points, I basically think we should be in the conversation. So I feel like I don't understand where we drop off from the. I know what you just saying regarding obviously he had company, you know, all these elite players. I completely hear that because that, you know, some teams, like let's just say Man City, let's say we get 85 points, let's say Man City get 96. I can't sit here with my chest and say, oh, Ollie's to blame, because sometimes you got to respect greatness, and we got to understand that it's similar to obviously Michael Jordan when he went like 4-peat, whatever. Some the teams that he beat, they could have been great in their own right, but obviously Jordan's Jordan. Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes you got to put that into context. I get that. However, what I'm saying is, you're saying with chess that we can get 85 points. For me personally, I think this squad is definitely good enough to be competing with the likes of Man City as it currently stands without Kane in their team. Chelsea, I understand they should be above us as well. However, I think them two should definitely be above us. I'm not saying that.
On paper,
I still think we should be at least in the conversation to April, because if you really look at our team on paper, I think it's good enough, like, to challenge. I really do think it should be up there.
I agree with you. We haven't seen Tuchel in a title challenge, right? So when I say 85 points, this is why I'm saying I'm going overboard and I'm losing my head a bit. We can win the title if Martial shows up. I'm telling you now. Varane, Sancho, and Martial. If we sign Martial this season, right, out of nowhere.
Daniel, say it one more time, because Kojo doesn't like Martial. One more time, Daniel. So
no. Me and Kojo thought we've had this conversation about Martial. We've had it. But if he shows up, I'll put it to you like this: I expect Rashford to come back and show up. I expect Sancho to show up. I expect Greenwood to show up. I expect Cavani to show up. Look at that talent. I've already said I think we've got an elite defense. You know, games. What do they say? Offense wins championships. No. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. That's what the NFL players say. So I'm looking at our defense and I'm saying, if Martial shows up the way the rest expect everybody else to show up, that's a title-winning team. I don't care. I'm only in, but I don't care. He has to win the title. If I see Martial banging in goals and come for last 4 games of the season, we're in it. Come on, bro. We expect to win, no? We're not going to say it's 4 games to go. City are a better team, so if they win it, bygone people. No, it's going to be, what did Ollie do in the 34th game, the 35th game, the 36th game? That's the questions we're going to be asking. We're going to be saying, what players didn't show up in those games? I'm expecting them to show up. That's all I'm saying. And I'm telling you, if it's an 85 to 87 point season in terms of winning the title, and I think it will be, we've got a bigger chance than people realize. People who think we're just going to just fall off like Arsenal in early March, I think you're wrong. I think these group of players have been on a journey. I'm old enough to see I've watched Alex Ferguson build several teams. Several teams. Everybody talks about when we won. They never talk about the journey, Usman. They never talk about the journey. They don't talk about us finishing bottom of the Champions League group before we got the title back in 05-06. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about us getting embarrassed by AC Milan. Remember Kaká made everyone Heinz kiss?
Bro, Kaká, man, that guy who gave me
us up. So Alex Ferguson was on the touchline. He weren't coaching. He was abusing Johnny Evans for about 15 minutes. Mike Phelan had to grab him and get him to sit down because he lost his shit. So I'm just more positive than everybody else. I'm not saying we're gonna win it, but trust me, if Martial shows up, we're gonna be doing numbers. And trophies, we're gonna win at least one trophy. We should be winning the League Cup and FA Cup for me. Simple as that.
Can I add to that? And I'll say this: like my anger on Martial is based on the fact that he had such a good season that year prior and he didn't push on. For me, even if you don't get more goals, just the fact that you just bring the same level and just continue to consistency, because he had a good year. So have another good year after that. And that's where my disappointment was. And that's where I got a bit fed up with him, because if we're going to compete, we need players that will consistently turn up. And if you're not going to turn up consistently, unfortunately, at some point, you got to go. It is what it is. But you're right.
That comment quickly.
Oh, yeah, go on.
People hear Alex Ferguson and Ollie and they think you're comparing them. Like, I'm a grown-ass man. I understand he's not Ferguson. I'm saying to you, I've seen this journey before. I've seen people not hit targets. And I see what happens when you could potentially win something. And I'm telling people, yeah, you keep sleeping on Martial. Kojo's probably right. He probably won't be consistent this season. I always say to people, if Martial showed up last season, what happens?
Bro, Kojo.
Martial shows up. So last season we're 76.
Conversation without a doubt, bro. 12 points.
And that's the point.
Very quickly, we're 76-point team without Martial showing up. What would we been last season if he did?
And that's the point. That's
the point team. Add Varane, add Sancho. You're telling me we can't potentially challenge for a title, maybe win it? Come on,
And
man.
that's the point. That's the point of my disappointment. Imagine the attacking talent that we have. They could genuinely, all of them could actually get double digits in all competitions. All of them can. That's incredible. On top of the numbers that Bruno will definitely get.
Yeah, facts. Yeah,
Yeah.
Trophies can be coming into this club, no problem.
yeah.
But it's just for the players that don't turn up. You know me. I backed Rashford last year. I said Rashford, damaged shoulder, injured ankle, still got a lot of numbers. He's had his surgery. He's resting. And then when he comes back, get his match sharpness up, and then he should be going. If he doesn't go, I will also get on his neck, because why are you not bringing a good level of consistency? Why are you not continuing in form? I understand you were injured. Martial's out for 5 months. So I'm not expecting him to do a craziness on Saturday. If he does, phenomenal. If he doesn't, it is what it is. But when you get back to 100% match sharpness and you're ready to go, I want to see the Martial that we saw the year before. I don't want to see a repeat of the Martial we saw last season, because that's a problem. If you don't turn up, we don't do well. If United players turn up, United do well. That's as simple as it gets. Mm-hmm. So as much as I even want Dan James to turn up, the few games that he's going to play, utilize him properly, let him use his strengths. And if he pops for United, that's another thing that scores for United, you know? So I'm really hoping that Martial has a great season. Usman, this will surprise you. Martial's my starting striker in Fantasy Premier League.
I know. I heard.
Wow.
I need to get Indiana here as well, because he hasn't. But obviously, he hasn't got a face cam, so I can't see his facial expressions. I'm sure he's been raising an eyebrow too for some.
Yeah, I know.
Trust me, if you know me and it comes to Martial,
yeah, bro, Indiana, the floor is yours, my guy. What are your thoughts?
Listen, I gave a plum tree analogy on Martial the other day. I really, the guy frustrates me. He really does. He's not a striker, in my opinion. But Danny is right. If he does show up, and he should, because the last 6 years tells you that if he has a bad season, he's likely to have a good season, right? Which is another reason why, no matter how he performs this season, he has to be sold at the end of the season. Because even if he has
pops up.
Yeah. And let me tell you why. Because he's 25, 26 nearly. Right. He's been at the club for 6 years. He's been inconsistent ever since he came. I'm not having the excuses for him. We can't baby him anymore. He's coming into
very quickly, Indiana. Very quickly, Usman. Remember Nani? He had 3 good years in a row. We knew that was it. We gave him a new contract.
I love Nani as well, man. You've used one player. That guy
That's why Indiana's right about Martial for me about 7
years. If we get Haaland, then I suppose.
Listen, I put a Nani thing out today. Just so everyone knows this. Hazard 6 trophies, Nani 12, but never mind. What I'm saying is basically no. I'm sick of certain people. I'm sick of certain people comparing Hazard to Ronaldo when Hazard's not even on Nani's level, and that's just where I am with it. So serious.
No, this is why I like you. This is why I like you.
No, serious. I'm not having it.
Basically, I don't agree with that comment, but I do love Nani at the same time, so it's a bit.
I love Nani, man. Basically, for me, Martial, even if he kills it this season, sell him. In fact, it's the perfect time to sell him because his value will be up, and then you go out and you buy a Haaland. That's what you do. You go and buy an actual striker. Go and do that because you don't.
That's right.
Osman, you know your. Can you tell me right now if Martial kills it? Can you guarantee me 100% we're going to see the same Martial the season after?
Yeah,
based on what you
cannot.
I seen a funny comment actually. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. So some rival fans in one of the WhatsApp groups were saying, so Martial's got a pattern. He has one good season, one bad season, one good season, one bad. And then everyone was slacking off the chat and they were like, wait, Martial did bad last season. So he might actually do well this season.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, I mean, I do love Martial. I think I'm not going to, obviously, Kojo knows I'm a massive Martial fan. However, I do hear what you're saying in terms, and I said this to Kojo as well, actually, on the stream we just on. We need to chuck sentiment out the window. It needs to go now. But I'm done now. Because I can't sit here, I cannot sit here and watch rivals win trophies. It's starting to hurt me now. I mean, the Liverpool one obviously hurt everyone. That was the worst one. But it's getting to a point now that, I'm more consistent on YouTube. I know more rival fans, and we're getting bantered every year because we haven't even won more trophies in Arsenal in the last 5 years. It's embarrassing.
You know the maddest thing, though, Usman? Do you know the maddest thing? Because Pogba's also inconsistent, and I'm not saying you. I'm saying the hardcore because you're actually very grounded. I know you're Ollie out, but you'll give him praise where it's needed, right? But the hardcore Ollie outers, they will tell you because I'm not Ollie in or out, but because I'm not hardcore Ollie out, I get told that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is only in the job and that I'm not a big Ole outer because of sentiment. Yet these are the very same people who will back Martial and Pogba to the death, no matter how they perform, no matter what they do, which I think
Never
is
their
crazy
fault.
because you're either a Manchester United fan and you want the team to win. Look, Rashford and Martial. Martial is a much better footballer, technically, than Rashford. Much better, levels above. Marcus Rashford is a better player for Manchester United. Why? Because his numbers are better, because he's more consistent, because he offers more to the team. You never know what you're going to get from Martial, in my opinion. An elite Martial, in form, Martial does not get dropped. He is undroppable. You do not drop him. Marcus Rashford, if it's a competition for the left, Marcus Rashford shouldn't see the pitch unless it's in a cup game. If Martial is on form, he is that good. And that is my frustration with him. Because he is an exceptional footballer. It's like a switch with him. It's like a choice whether he wants to do it or not. That's my issue.
I've kind of come to sort of the conclusion that Martial's biggest issue is his mental state. I mean, he's got all the ability in the world, but as you said, he's like a switch. A lot of our players seem to have that. We have too many purple patch players in our team. Yeah, I mean, Luke Shaw is an example of a steady Eddie in terms of you know what to expect from him week in, week out. I mean, it's a bit of a random example because he's a left back, but in terms of you know what to see from him. I mean, you can name any of our attackers, and maybe minus Greenwood, who's fairly consistent in terms of what you're going to see from him. You haven't got a clue which Rashford's going to turn up from game to game. You haven't got a clue which Martial's going to turn up from game to game. I mean, Bruno to an extent towards the back end of the season, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Apart from that, he's very consistent. I suppose you could throw Pogba in that category as well. And I know Sean, who's a massive Ollie outer, so I know a lot of you support Ollie massive. So
I know Sean, man. Sean's a top guy.
Sean is absolutely.
How do we kill Tony and back Ollie? Easy. I've seen two players, right? So if you look at Rashford and Martial, the comparison people like to make. Marcus Rashford made match-winning contributions with 2 injuries. Martial, before he got injured in March, had plenty time to get his numbers up. And what did he do? He dropped the ball. Yeah, his all-round game, his contribution was minimal. His goal conversion rate was 8%.
Yeah.
Do you know how pitiful that is? Do you know how bad that is? An average winger would have a 15% or 14% conversion rate, like a Mahrez or something, maybe even higher. 8%, disgraceful. Absolute disgrace. And it's not only very quickly, Indiana, the excuse they gave, we're not creating chances. How did Cavani score goals if we weren't creating chances? Why were we top of the league? We were top of the league. Wait. We were top of the league.
I'm happy you're doing it.
We were top of the league and Martial had what, 3 goals? 2 in 1 game? No, he scored that after we were top of the league, actually. Come on.
Yeah, when it mattered, Daniel. When they come and got some. When we had something. Martial delivered. You ungrateful fan.
But I'm just saying, I've seen certain players be consistent under Ollie. He seems to be he's the common denominator here.
I think that just because I know Sean's not here, so I gotta play. I basically have Sean here, so I know Sean very well, right? We're good friends. We talk a lot, so I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to talk about Ollie's inconsistency with the manner in which we approach games. That's one game where it becomes sometimes it feels like it's sporadic into the way that we set up. That sometimes we're pressing from the top. Sometimes we're very sort of reserved in the manner in which we approach the game. I mean, and also regarding Ollie as well, where do you draw the line with Ollie? Because obviously the points you made about Martial, I agree with. Although I'm a massive Martial fan, I do agree. And I've said to Kojo just recently, I hold him accountable. I know Kojo, you gotta go. I see in the comment.
No, I'll answer then I'll go. I'll see.
Okay, and also
let Kojo go.
Yeah, Kojo, you go first because I know you got a dip. So the point is, where do you draw the line with Ollie as well? Because obviously, I mean, they're all kind of somewhat inconsistent to an extent.
Well, it is. But this is what I've been saying about managers and time, because you have to build your team. Look, under his management, Wan-Bissaka's come in, Bruno Fernandes come in, Maguire's come in, Sancho's come in, Varane's come in. It's looking like his team. So in his 3rd season, which is what I usually give managers, unless you come in and you're ultra successful from the start and you're getting the best out of them, and you continue to build your team. I'm giving him that period of time. I myself I've criticised Ole many times, but Martial's been here way longer than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah,
Like way longer. This
Yeah.
isn't a new thing. This has been happening
Yeah.
time and time again. It's
Do you
very,
know what
very
it is?
recurring.
Do you know what it is with Martial?
Great
And
point,
it's
Kojo.
it's because this is a point that Rachel made, is that people are getting confused between attacking football and attractive football, and it's one of the best things I've heard about Manchester United. And Martial is attractive football when he's on his game. Like if you're in a stadium, he's the player that will get you off your
Those
seat.
top bins from edge of
And
box.
that-
Beautiful.
That's what we want to see, right? But it's the consistency with him. That's the problem.
It's worse than that. If he has a few good technical, nice touches, his fanboys will tell you he played well.
I mean,
That's why I can't stand him. That's why I can't.
to be honest, yeah.
To your question about Oli, this is where I draw the line. I'm going to repeat what Kojo said. You have to let a manager build a team. You can't have these mismatches. He inherited a few Sir Alex Ferguson players, one Moyes player in Mata. He didn't really inherit much from LBG, to be fair, which is weird, but inherited a lot from Mourinho.
Yep.
So Man United fans, we don't recruit properly. We need a technical director. We don't recruit for a brand of football. Manager comes in, basically has Jose Mourinho's mismatched midfield. And people are saying, why is he not imposing? Why is he not doing what LVG did and try to play a technical brand of football with players who can't play technical football, with Fellaini, Herrera, Schneider in the midfield? We saw LVG do that. He had them controlling possession, but the next bit they couldn't do. Because individually, those players weren't good enough to do the next bit, to take LVG's football to the next level. So when people criticize Ollie's football, I'm like, when a man is building, this is what happens. When Klopp was building 3 seasons, so his interim season and 2 seasons, his points totals weren't above 75, bro. They were 60-something because he took over after Hodgson, then 74 and 75. Domestically, there was no significant, they weren't consistent. The consistency didn't improve. We went into the following season when he skyrocketed. Very quickly, bro, very quickly. This season, I need to see a more consistent brand of football from game to game. And we need to be challenging for the title. I'm not Ollie in forever. I'm Ollie in. I'm being objective. He's got a difficult situation. He has to build. The team is pretty damn good. It's about, 85% complete if we're being objective? About 85% complete, maybe?
I'd say higher, personally.
I'd say 90. I'd say 90.
Okay,
I'd say 90, yeah.
So what? A right back in the midfield that makes it 100%?
Yeah, I agree. That's
Striker.
I'm telling you now, I need League Cup, I need League Cup, I need FA Cup. I need Champions League, decent. Context matters in the Champions League, we know that. If we get Bayern in the last 16.
No, Danny, we're more likely to win the Champions League than the Premier League. You know that, right?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think the Champions League, in terms of, obviously it's hard. I'm not saying we should win the Champions League.
Knockout football.
But it's a knockout competition. You can definitely do it. I mean, we've done it. We beat PSG. We've got PSG's number at the moment. If anything, they don't want to play us because every time we played them, I know. Yeah, exactly. Ollie's got Poch's number as well on top of that. So, yeah, I think the points that you're making, I do agree. You've actually answered the question I was going to ask you, which is, does he have to deliver this season? In the end, I'll throw that to you because obviously Daniel's answered that. Is this now the time? I know you guys are both advocates of Ollie, so to speak, but does Ollie now have to deliver? Because for me personally, if he doesn't deliver silverware, he has to go. Because at the end of the day, as we've all agreed, roughly on the 85-90%, that's good enough to win at least an FA Cup, surely.
Yeah. So what I would say is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's short-term pain for long-term gain in terms of Manchester United. I think we really do have to appreciate what he has done at the club. The huge changes have been made at the club. Everything that everyone's been asking for in terms of the club structure has either been done or is in the process of being done. He's not an elite manager, but now he is in his 3rd season. He's made some great signings. I think we've got some great players. And if 95% of this squad stay fit, I expect at least one trophy, at least one domestic trophy, FA Cup or League Cup. I expect
but in the end, sorry to interrupt you, bro. I mean, I don't want to sound like, because obviously beggars can't be choosers, so we need the League Cup. Don't get it twisted. But is the League Cup good enough for just this squad? Because as coach, for me personally,
I don't think it's good enough, Usman. I don't think it's good
enough.
I
mean, would that be good enough for you to say, okay, Ollie gets another year out of the back? Let's say we win the League Cup, right? Let's say we come 3rd in it, because that's what happens for me personally. If we come 3rd, okay, obviously context is important. We're 2 points off the top. Of course, that will change the conversation. We understand that. But let's say we finish 3rd, we win the League Cup. Do you still think that's enough for him to say, okay, look, let's give him another go, so to speak?
I would say Champions League would have a lot to do with that. So if we got to the semi-finals and we got knocked out by the eventual winner of the Champions League as well, and we won the League Cup and we also got to the semi-final or final of the FA Cup, and we were 5 points off of the champions of the Premier League and we won the League Cup, I wouldn't say that was a terrible season, and I would say actually that's progress because we've competed on all fronts and we've picked up a trophy. Is it good enough for Manchester United? Is it what I want to see? No, it's not, but I still think that's moving forwards.
Yeah. To be honest, I definitely understand you. I understand where you're coming from there. I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm kind of sitting on the fence with this whole thing because obviously, as you guys know, I'm not Ollie's biggest fan, but at the same time, I've contradicted myself a lot here, I'm not going to lie, because I kind of feel like, let's just say we win the League Cup hypothetically, and with 3 points of winning the tie, let's say we lose the tie by 3 points, and we compete, as you said. I mean, I feel like that would be, I know it kind of goes against what I'm saying right now, but I feel like it would be harsh to sack him then. Because, like, if you're that close, you've got to at least give him a chance to go again, back him again in the summer. And, I mean, this is fully contradicting what I've said in the past. I know people's going to say that, but I feel like context is definitely important with these sort of prediction shit. Because at the end of the day, if he's second and 20 points off the top, then he's got to go for me.
Do you know the argument you could make? You could make this argument. Semi-finals, then final. Wins a final, this close to winning a title. You could make the argument, you back him again in the summer, he'll probably take the same leap. Like, there seems to be, at that point, you could argue there seems to be a clear trajectory here.
Yeah. But
I would make that argument, Danny, but at the same time, I wouldn't care if he was sacked and Zidane came in.
Not Zidane.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Daniel, my guy, someone who said Luis Enrique, Daniel, you're speaking my language.
That's the football I want to see. I don't know what football he's going to play.
Luis Enrique, Daniel, is my day one choice since he left Barcelona.
Indiana, I agree with you. Like, I can see an argument for saying bring an elite manager in because the team's 90% complete. That's been my thing all along. It's going to take more than one manager to get us back to a title, despite what these Ollie out as the extremists seem to think. You let a man build a team to 90% completion. Realistically, the next manager is not going to come in and say, you know what, Maguire and Varane, that's a trash partnership. Let me get rid of that. He's not going to say Rashford, maybe Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho. Let me tear that up. No, he's going to buy a striker and he's going to buy midfielders, and the team's complete. Let the next manager carry on.
Right back.
I'll be honest, I'm good either way. As long as the football club sign the next manager, they have to get the next manager right. Zidane, I'm telling you now, if we get Zidane, he's gonna flop. Remember I said that.
I want Enrique first. I've always wanted Enrique. I wanted Nagelsmann. I'm not gonna lie. Nagelsmann was my number one. Then Enrique.
You bring that Spanish football to Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean Enrique is underrated. But listen, obviously we've been going on for a while. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. I was gonna ask about the importance of hitting the ground running, but I mean it is what it is. I'm sure we can have another podcast discussing those matters. It's only gonna be one game anyways, or 2-3 games, whatever. But yeah, so just to finish off, obviously fantastic points from all the panel. Everyone's linked down below. Make sure you slap a like on the video. Of course, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to everyone's links down below. I'm sure there's going to be another collab coming in the near future. Before we go, we got the Leeds Scum on the weekend, boys and girls. Indiana will come to you first and foremost. Just a quick summary of what you think or how the game is going to pan out and your score prediction, so to speak.
I hate calling derbies, man. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is a huge game. Massive game.
The Roses.
The Roses, yeah.
I can't believe football's back. It's mad.
I'm so gassed, man. Can't wait to see Arsenal lose tomorrow. Watch Arsenal.
Right, yeah. But despite that being a derby, I do expect to win this game. I think there's goals in it, and I think it's gonna be a 2-1 United. Man United, by the way, the real United.
Yeah, I was about to say, please specify.
The real United.
Fair enough. Daniel, what are your thoughts, bro?
Brilliant jabs. I think if Ollie, so last season, Ollie made the mistake of picking the team he wanted to play instead of the players that were fit.
Yeah.
Against these, if he picks the players that are fit, which should include Bruno, Greenwood, striker-wise, it's a bit dodgy. Matic just looked good, so Matic will be starting. Maguire will start. Maybe we can trust Lindelof for one game. I think we'll win. But if he picks too many players that haven't had any preseason or are not fit, we'll draw or lose. Got to be honest, because that's the mistake he made against. Who we played in the first game of the season with the Palace.
Yeah, Palace.
Palace. Yeah, Palace basically had a preseason. They were fitter than us. That's why they were able to wipe the floor with us. So, and Leeds, you play Leeds with unfit players, you're gonna get hurt badly.
It's
So
gonna be long, innit?
as long as Ollie picks players that can run, we're good money. We'll win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I was on Leeds TV earlier, and I said the same thing to the guy. I said, for me personally, they're playing us at the right time. I mean, it really benefits them in terms. Leeds notoriously from last season are known for their fitness. That's one of the high press hearts on football, so to speak, and it's going to benefit them because we haven't got players like Cavani. I mean, if Cavani was fit and playing, we would have slapped him because there's no way they would have dealt with this movement. But that's just me. A lot of players are kind of in that sort of grey area that we don't know where they are in terms of fitness. Pogba being one of them. Martial, I mean, Martial does not look match sharp. A lot of the midfielders, we don't even know what's going to happen. Dan James could quite easily start this game.
Dan James will play.
I've got a feeling Dan James will start. Although Percy would play Pogba out wide, but that's just me personally. But yeah, I'm waffling now. So I'm going to give my score prediction is 3-2 Man United, actually.
Quick question for you, Osman. Quick question for you. Do you think Leeds are going to do what they did when we played them the second time round? Or do you think they'll do more way?
I mean, I feel like a lot of the lads I've spoken to today have said the same thing. It's going to be in between both games in terms of it's not going to be too cagey. It is going to be somewhat of like you said, jabs in terms of obviously each team is jabbing, so to speak. Obviously to find your feet, especially the first early encounters. But in saying that, first game of the season, Leeds are going to be up for it. I mean, they hate Man United. We got to bet that, man. Old Trafford's going to be rocky, and Bielsa's going to be sat there saying, "Let's go and spoil the party." First game of the season, we hate him as well. I mean, I think they're going to be up for it, and I think they're going to actually come for us because, as I've said, this is the best time for them to play us. We have got no Cavani. We don't know what's happening with Sancho. None of us have got a clue if he's on the bench. Are we assuming he'll be on the bench? Obviously, Varane's not playing. I mean, Martial's not fit. Pogba's not fit. Rashford's not there. They're going to be looking at this saying we can definitely get this Manchester United team. So I'm expecting them to come for us. Hence why I've gone 3-2 because I still think we're going to score first and we'll do them when they open up a bit more. So, Daniel, did you give your score prediction?
Score prediction: if Ollie picks players that basically quality players, but players that can run as well, we beat them. I think we beat them 2-0. To be honest with you, if not, it's going to be 1-1.
All right, fair enough. Listen, hopefully your first prediction was right. Obviously, we've all gone for a Manchester United victory on the opening day. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be doing a watch along and a fan calling show, of course. As always, the fan calling shows are finally back. Opportunity for you guys to ring in, have you say after the game. 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever you want to take. Rant, rave. I mean, I do this that praise or grumble thing on Football Heaven at Radio Sheffield. I'm not going to copy the name because they'll probably copyright strike me. But basically the same concept. Come in and say what you got to say. Obviously, follow the brother on the socials to find out. Obviously, show love to all our guests. As always, before we go off, we always allow the guests to say the socials. But Indiana, we start with you, bro. Let the people know where they can find you, my guy.
Yep, you can find me on the Football Terrace. You can find me on the First XI. We've got the Grounded Football Series going now, so that will be all top 7 of the team, so including Leicester, run by.
Bro, that used to be top 4. You know, we have to keep pushing.
Yeah, I know. Listen, it's still top.
It's so
6.
annoying. It's so annoying.
Spurs shouldn't be in it.
Bro, I completely agree. I'll be saying that today. Get rid of Spurs.
Osman. This is their last chance. This season is their last.
Bro, get Kish off that show, man. You should be on there.
I told him. So literally, we've got the top 6 show, which is now going to be the Super 7 show. We got a certain big YouTuber from the Leicester fan base who's joining that, and that'll hopefully be on a Sunday.
Let's go.
And hopefully, Osman, we can get you on the Grounded United.
100%, man.
I'd like to get you on. That's me, Danny, Neeks, Rachel. That's a great show. We'll really enjoy that one. But yeah, go and subscribe to the channel, The Football Terrace. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Osman Talks. Go and follow him as well.
Appreciate it, man. Yes, I appreciate it, bro. Daniel, exactly same question, bro. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter right there at Devil Details MU, and on there you just catch me slapping up backhands only for Ollie Outers all day, every day, backhands. But no, on a serious note, make sure you check out the First 11, like, subscribe to it. We do a show every single Tuesday. It's consistent, Grounded United, and that's a really, really great show. And as always, as well, make sure you follow the Football Terrace and support Terry on that platform as well.
without a shadow of a doubt. As I've already said, everyone's links are down below. Make sure you slap a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, go and show love to all of them. It's all about community at the end of the day. That's what the channel is all about. That's what it's built on. We have got a show tomorrow after the Arsenal game, normally before, but like I said, I think it's going to be at 10 o'clock. Join Steve, Jan, and the rest of the guys. I think Bits and Bobs will be on that as well. They're going to be going through the Arsenal game and obviously looking ahead to the Premier League finally returning. Follow everyone on social. It's been your boy, man. Absolute pleasure. We'll see you next Monday.